A story has to be whole before someone can actually make decisions from what they have heard from the story and how much it's going to help them. So, babe, what do you think about this?
It's real estate. So now coming and telling all these fantastic stories without telling the stories of privilege is a form of deception.
Yeah, it's deception. Like generally, I feel that people should be able to tell stories in a way that, yes, while we want to encourage other people, also make them to understand all the intricacies. Is that right, grammar? Hello guys and welcome to the Spring Class podcast. So here I am with my husband, my Odogu, and we're talking about dangers of a one-sided story or the dangers of a single story. So yeah, we have this idea and we've had this conversation about people telling one-sided story. And I feel like most times people take this side of the story and run with it, not understanding that stories need to be told in their fullness. A story has to be whole before someone can actually make decisions from what they have heard from the story and how much it's going to help them. So, babe, what do you think about this?
It's real estate. It's real estate. Especially all this. I'm giving a typical example. So when you hear this real estate story, I started real estate, and before you know it, I bought all the acres in Asorok Villa. I bought this and I bought that, and in a sense, it could look like you're motivating people. But looking at the story, we know that there are quite a lot of challenges with real estate. We don't know how you are managing to do it without having any challenges, and telling people that real estate is the next big thing without telling them the challenges, it's not a very wise advice.
It's mostly one-sided and it doesn't even help other people to see the downside.
Yes.
When you want to start a business,
Yeah.
there has to be failed attempts before you get to the success story.
Yeah.
So selling it off makes it feel like, just boom, immediately you start real estate.
Yeah.
However, there are so many stories of failed attempts that should also be told so that people can understand that, okay, if I want to start real estate, I've heard this person's story, there is success in this, but there are also moments where it look like
There are like a lot of challenges. There's a lot of uncertainty.
yeah.
You could buy a land today, tomorrow, piam, it's gone.
Yeah.
Or somebody will come and claim the land. There was even a story of somebody that said he bought a land, and when he went there, two other people came for that.
Claim the land.
Yeah, two other people. These are very common stories. That's why it's very easy for you to see a house, say this house is not for sale, please avoid 419. Yes, they do happen, but just saying, real estate is the next best thing after sliced bread, without telling people that you can buy a land today and tomorrow somebody in the family will come and tell you, oh no, the land you bought, the person that sold it to you is not even from this community, or that the land that was sold to you is a community land or ancestral land, or that it might even be a federal government land that somebody sold to you.
Yeah. And the fact that you're even making it also in that field does not mean that you've got it all. It could be because you have a network of friends, maybe even your family is wealthy.
Sometimes
you have uncles who might want properties in these areas, and just them paying you for one or two properties, even you don't make them already.
Yeah, and also time and chance also
happens to them all.
That it could just be that yes, entered it and it's working.
And even aside the whole real estate thing, like generally, I feel that people should be able to tell stories in a way that, yes, while we want to encourage other people, also make them to understand all the intricacies. Is that right, grammar?
Yes, that capture every aspect of the story.
Yes, that captures every aspect of the story. Don't just. I heard someone say something and she said that a storyteller is telling a story, and then the listeners are vulnerable to the storytelling. At that moment, they are vulnerable. People are looking for things that will help them, encourage them, show them better light. So you telling a story, you should be very, you should be very intentional about selling stories that are true to other people. Say for instance, like you say, at some point in my life, I was so broke, I was going through things. But in your brokenness, what brokenness meant to you was that maybe you had a car, that you could actually drive around and sometimes sleep in. But what brokenness means to you is that what you had in your account was 100,000 naira. I've seen people like that in school. when I was in school there back in the years.
Yeah.
When they say they are broke, baby, means that they have like 20K in their account. So to them, it's broke. And you that your own
20K was
broke,
what they used to send to me.
so, do you get?
Yes.
And you that your own broke means 0.00 naira. You cannot be equating yourself to those people. You cannot be saying when they're telling success story, you can't be hinging on their own story that much. Not to say that they cannot encourage you,
Mhm.
you know, but then they might not tell you that their own broke was because they had 20K, whereas your own broke was 0.00 naira. You know, so I feel like most times when we tell stories, especially in this part of the country, let us be able to tell stories in its wholesomeness or in its full or in its entirety in a way that people understand everything. If I'm going to say I did this and I succeeded, or if I'm going to say for someone like me who most times I can tell how many times I've gotten jobs by recommendation, right? And someone is coming to talk to me about something, I know how to tell my story and I'm going to open it up to say, see, this is what I did. This is how I was recommended for some opportunities. Now, this is what I did to put me out there to be someone that will be able to someone that can be recommended for opportunities. But I can't just come and say, oh, this is how these things have been. Every time I apply, I get it. I get it.
You know what yeah. So I'm going to.
That people are vulnerable. My listeners are vulnerable, and they are also looking for something they can relate with.
Yeah. So I'm going to put it succinctly this way. That sometimes when people tell success stories, they don't tell the stories of privilege.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly.
You grew up in a family where you were able to have like the best education. People in your family, worst come to worst, you know, your uncle can just write a recommendation letter. Even with your family name, you can even enter a bank and collect 20 million. And you are there, you know, and you are telling a success story of how you succeeded to an audience who don't enjoy the same privilege like you did, who did not enjoy the same. Some people said they even went to school abroad, you know, and talking about all the things you've done, you know, to an audience of somebody that is going to, I went to Polynekel or Futo. Not to say that, you know, Futo people don't do the same, but it's not the same.
It's not the same.
You know, by virtue of even some schools that you go, people look for you.
Yes.
You know, they just look at your CV, somebody like you went to there. They don't even want to name. They just pick
chance
you.
for the job.
You just stand a good chance. So now coming and telling all these fantastic stories without telling the stories of privilege, it's a form of deception.
Yeah, it's deception.
Let me also say another thing. Even in the stories of hustle, you know, we know that there are people who make very drastic decisions and step out of their comfort zone. You know, like we always tell people, step out of your comfort zone and do whatever you want to do. We know that some people, yes, they did leave their house. Yes, they did leave their house. Yes, they did not contact their father, was using their father's money to do business. Like they had to do things on their own, something radically different. But part of the radical difference is that if anything happens to them, if in that business that they failed, if in that hustle that they failed, they don't have to call their parents to come and pick them up. Their parents will call them to come and pick them up.
Yes.
You understand? Their parents will call them to come and pick them up. That whatever happens in this world, they know they are going to be fine. That in itself can be a motivation for you to dare and try and take risk. You understand? Because you know that if you risk it, you know where to fall back on. But imagine somebody that doesn't have that privilege, you don't have that security, and just want to.
Maybe even in your family, you're the only one who is thinking in that way you're thinking. People around you don't even applaud how much you're trying to stretch, you know. So in all of these things, it's just good that while we are trying to be motivational, or while we're trying to motivate people, you should be sensitive to the fact that some people are actually really struggling.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can be truthful with your storytelling is even enough motivation for them than when you're lying about some part of the story. Say, for instance, Nigeria, right? It was long known by the diaspora that Nigeria is that country where we all live in huts. We live in huts, Abby. It's more like you guys live in huts, you guys walk around naked. Some of those things were sold. I feel like even till now, some persons run with that story. And that's because someone told that story in that manner. That is really not how Nigeria is.
Yeah.
This is how dangerous a
Step out
single
of this
story.
house, giraffe.
Yes, there's giraffe. You have zebra everywhere.
Go to work.
That's how much dangerous a single story can be. But when you're real about your storytelling, be bold enough to tell someone, okay, while I was trying to start up this business, there was an uncle there who gave me 20K. There was an auntie there who paid for maybe my website. There was someone there, my friend there, who came together so that we could work at something because she wanted me to be able to just give her maybe small percentage.
Or you went to school,
or
where
because
the
you went,
classmates
yes,
met,
because
their
you went,
parents were working.
yes. And there's this school in Lagos that someone told me that in that school, you don't apply for you come in by recommendation.
Yeah.
So say for instance, I know a friend and my friend too is as wealthy as I am and they want to attend the school. It's by recommend, you don't apply. So that means that this student already in that school
enjoy
their own class and everything is different. So you can't be schooling with people like that and tomorrow you want to do something and
come and be telling me that I grew up with the success
story. So it's very important that we own up. See, there is nothing wrong in you telling your story and mentioning that you were also privileged, like you said, babe. It's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad
It's
thing.
even good.
That you are born with a silver.
Yes, it is a good thing. You have the privilege. It's a good. Sorry to say, someone like maybe Otedola's daughter now. I've heard her say something that she'll say, I'm from a privileged background. Imagine her coming to tell a story and then she's trying to discredit her father's wealth.
Or discredit the privilege that
it's not encouraging.
Yeah.
Let's learn to be honest in our storytelling. Be sensitive to the vulnerability of the listeners of this story that we're trying to sell. You don't have to cut out all of those things for your story to sound motivational or inspired.
Or not in a way telling your story so that you can monetize it and be getting engagement.
And stop subscribing to the fact that you want people to see you as poor. There is nothing wrong with coming from a privileged background.
Yeah. So I think for some people these stories or ideas make it look like they have very genuine things to say about wealth and in a way to monetize it as a way of making money. Is understandable. Everybody wants to do something to make money. But sometimes then again, on a second thought, if you look at the people on the receiving end, we should also have that level of compassion and sensitivity to be able to say the truth. And another thing is let us also not be telling this our success story as one size fits all. Sometimes
be compassionate.
We should be compassionate, and sometimes the truth is that even in this wealth making, time and chance happens. In this success story, time and chance actually.
Even the Bible says
not necessarily that you found a specific principles or you followed it. Sometimes time and chance happens to people and they become successful. But then again, time and chance is not a story we tell that.
And the truth is that
so hence you see why people don't.
If you're also that person that yes, you did not have privilege at all, we're also encouraging that you tell stories. However, in everything we're saying here is just be honest and respect those who are listening to your story. And understand that stories should be told in its entirety. Nobody is saying you should bring your story from when you were born up to that moment, but at least specific examples can help people, can even encourage them. Imagine someone who has tried a business maybe 3 times and he or she keeps failing on making a mistake. They would better relate to someone who says, I also tried my business and I failed multiple times, to the person who says, I started business, maybe it worked, maybe this one, and then the grace for that one. Does it now mean that the person who has tried 3 times is not trying? So let's be able to be, like babe, you said, let's show compassion in our storytelling. And let's also understand that we should respect the listeners of our stories. They are more vulnerable than even you who's telling the story.
Yeah, and for the sake of money, let's not just, say anything that we want to make money.
Yeah, it's true. All right, are we done?
Yeah.
Okay, so this brings us to the end of this conversation. I think you might have comments to share. Please put them down. Be very willing and happy to read your comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video if it resonates with you to your friends and your family members, and to anyone who you want to be encouraged in whatever they are trying out. Okay, and we'll see you in our next video. So bye.